I'm Carlo of Time 2 Resources and a senior examiner for over 20 years. This video looks at Porter's 5 forces, a model that makes a significant difference to the quality of student answers. Porter used it as an alternative to SWOT analysis. In 1979, Michael Porter, a professor at Harvard Business School, created a framework to look at the attractiveness to businesses in terms of profitability of markets. He believed that competition is looked at too narrowly by management who focus too much on direct competitors. Instead, they should also look at those that create broader competition, as well as incumbent firms that already operate in the industry. These include new firms that might enter the market, customers and suppliers who both have bargaining power, and substitute products that might reduce demand. Each industry is different. 5 forces allows you to analyse and evaluate, asking relevant questions such as what is causing profitability in this industry, what are the trends that might lead to changes in profitability, and what are the constraints on profitability. Each of the 5 forces will affect the profitability of businesses in an industry. Each business should use this strategy to analyse their position and therefore attractiveness in that market. If we take an industry, we can ask the following questions. What is the degree of competition or rivalry with incumbent firms in the industry? For example, is there a dominant player, or is the industry an oligopoly, with a few firms having significant market share? What barriers to entry stop firms from joining the industry? How close are substitute products allowing consumers to buy a different product? How powerful are customers in the industry when bargaining? And how powerful are suppliers to the industry when bargaining? A common question in exams is how can a firm increase profitability? Porter's 5 forces helps us to answer this. He believes that the competitive intensity in an industry directly impacts on the profitability of a business. Each of the 5 forces informs us whether the competitive intensity is high or not. If the level of competition is low, the firm is likely to be more profitable. 5 forces can be applied to any industry, goods or services, technological or traditional, or whether the business is from a developed, emerging or developing economy. We can compare the 5 forces in an industry to a game of table football. There are 5 footballs, so 5 goals can be scored. Is the game going to end up 5-0 to the firm, 5-0 to the competitors, or somewhere in between? Of course, the business will want to win 5-0. If after the analysis it has done well on all 5 forces, this would appear to be an attractive prospect that is likely to be highly profitable. Conversely, if it has done badly on all 5, it is likely to have poor profitability or even be loss-making. If you were to buy shares in a business, Porter's 5 forces can be a useful way of assessing whether that firm will be profitable or not. Horizontal competition looks at the threats from competitors. Firstly, what is the degree and intensity of competition in the market? Here we might look at the concentration ratio, how many firms dominate the market. For example, is it an oligopoly with only a few firms, each having significant market share, or are there many firms with low market share? We might combine 5 forces with Porter's generic strategy, creating high quality analysis based on theory. Powerful firms might position themselves in the market by being low cost. Alternatively, they might be highly differentiated. This will give them a competitive advantage. If they are well positioned and have a high degree of market share, they are likely to be profitable. If the industry is growing, then they are well placed to be profitable in the future. When looking at the attractiveness of a business and the industry in which it operates, it is also important to research the marketing and pricing strategies of all of the main rivals in that industry. Coca-Cola has high market share as the dominant firm in the soft drinks industry, Its duopoly with Pepsi leads to non-price competition, making the product more price inelastic, allowing it to charge higher prices and increase profitability. If we were playing a game of table football, this would be 1-0 to Coca-Cola. Secondly, what is the threat of new entry into the market? How easy is it for new firms to enter the industry? Barriers to entry are anything that stops a firm from entering the market. High barriers to entry are those that make it very difficult for a firm to enter, and low barriers make it easy. Many of these barriers can be analysed using PESTLE. For a firm to compete with Apple or Google would take significant investment in technology and human capital. They have huge marketing budgets and substantial customer bases. They use product differentiation and branding, and the cost of research and development and innovating new products is prohibitive to smaller firms. There are legal constraints, for example intellectual property rights such as patents, trademarks and copyright. Some firms operate with government support, and there might be regulatory requirements making it difficult to enter the market. In many industries, larger firms gain significant economies of scale, making it very difficult for a smaller entrant to compete. They also have established distribution networks, making it easy to get their products to market. Even if a new firm did manage to enter the market, incumbent businesses might react by lowering price, increasing marketing, or innovating new products. The more profitable an industry, the more likely it is that there is a threat of new entrants looking to take a share of the high levels of profit. However, potential customers will find it difficult to join an industry with high barriers to entry. Once in the industry, how easy is it for a firm to exit? This will have a financial impact. Firms might have specialised machinery that they are unable to sell off, or high payments to employees in terms of redundancies. A business that is already operating in an industry with high barriers to entry and low barriers to exit is seen as more attractive. Coca-Cola invests heavily in marketing, creating an advertising barrier to entry. Its distribution process is seen as one of the best in the world, with bottling plants strategically placed on a global basis to quickly and reliably get its product to market. It uses its power, branding and customer loyalty to sign contracts with pub chains, restaurants and supermarkets who would not wish to sell an alternative Coca-Cola, Pepsi apart maybe, for fear of upsetting customers. This helps it to maintain its profitability. 2-0 to Coca-Cola. The third horizontal force is the threat of substitute products, the likelihood of new products being introduced into the industry. Are there barriers to entry to stop this from happening? This occurs when businesses within an industry are faced with the threat of a similar product from another business. Here, how close a substitute is becomes important. If it is a close substitute, businesses will become less competitive, and their ability to charge higher prices and make supernormal profits will be affected. The threat is seen as the level of risk that the business or industry will face due to the substitute product. A good example of substitutes is the travel industry. To get to London from the north of England, one could fly, drive, take a coach or go by train. Flying is time consuming, whilst coach travel is slow. Driving is onerous, particularly when reaching London, having to pay a congestion charge, get stuck in traffic, and looking and paying for parking. Therefore, the train is often the optimum route. Train companies realise this, so charge exorbitant prices at peak times. This leads to increased profits. Coca-Cola has many similar products. I could buy at least a dozen different colas from the shops. However, its massive marketing budget and iconic advertising creates brand loyalty. It even invented what we know as Santa Claus. It is sold in all but 2 countries around the world, and it uses its financial power to obtain profitable contracts with restaurants such as McDonald's and Subway. So there is not even a choice but to buy Coca-Cola. 4 of the world's top 5 soft drinks brands are owned by Coca-Cola. Even so, Coca-Cola still faces threats. Innocent Drinks was co-founded by Richard Reed in 1998. It quickly gained market share and soon became an alternative to Coca-Cola, even selling their smoothies in McDonald's. So what did Coca-Cola do to stop this threat? Well, if you can't beat them, buy them. So Innocent is now 90% owned by Coca-Cola. This leads to higher profitability. 3-0 to Coca-Cola. Vertical competition looks at threats from suppliers and customers and the supply chain, starting from the supplier and how the product reaches the customer. Firstly, we have the bargaining power of suppliers. What power do suppliers have over businesses that they supply to? If there are few suppliers in an industry, they have great power and can charge high prices. If there are many suppliers, this creates competition and prices are bid down, leading to lower costs. If a supplier raises its prices, businesses will switch to other suppliers if they can. Therefore, the degree of concentration of suppliers is important in determining price. There are a large number of suppliers to Coca-Cola for the ingredients that they require. The largest ingredient by volume is water. Although the water companies have monopolies in regional areas around the UK, they are unable to charge high prices due to government intervention. Coca-Cola use the same water that we drink from our taps. Other ingredients such as sugar are also cheap, with many suppliers available. If a supplier were to raise price, Coca-Cola would look elsewhere. It also benefits from being a large buyer of ingredients. Businesses that obtain a contract with Coca-Cola will not wish to upset the business, as the contract can bring in substantial revenue. Therefore, the bargaining power of suppliers to Coca-Cola is very low. This leads to lower costs and increased profitability for the business. 4-0 to Coca-Cola. Finally, we have the bargaining power of customers. What power do customers have over businesses that they buy from? If there's only one buyer in a market, it is called a monopsony. A few buyers is called an oligopsony. These terms are parallel to monopoly and oligopoly. Buyers can be business to business or business to customer. The buying power of customers is high if there are few customers and many substitutes. The buying power is low if there are many customers and few alternatives. A customer that buys in bulk can bid prices down, gaining purchasing economies of scale. As a B2B customer, UK supermarkets have enormous power over suppliers. Gaining or not gaining a contract from Tesco or Sainsbury's can make or break a supplier. Alternatively, if the customer is the only buyer in the market, they have a lot of power to bid prices down. Coca-Cola has many customers, so the bargaining power of the customer is low. Although there are many substitutes for Coca-Cola products, branding has ensured that many of these customers only buy Coca-Cola brands, or as an alternative, Pepsi. How many of you will only buy from the Coca-Cola range, including Diet Coke, Sprite, Fanta? They even own Costa Coffee. This helps to significantly reduce the buying power of Coca-Cola's customers, leading to higher profitability. 5-0 to Coca-Cola. Porter's 5 forces is of great value in analysing real-world markets and firms that operate within those markets. In preparation for exams, get into the habit of researching markets that you enjoy or are familiar with. This could be the supermarket industry, cosmetics, sport, such as football, rugby, cricket, streaming television, such as Netflix, streaming music, such as Spotify. Any market is appropriate. Underpin your research with Porter's 5 forces. This will prepare you for the exams. In the actual exams, using elements of 5 forces will allow you to develop sound analytical arguments and give you the ammunition to evaluate throughout and in conclusion. If a business wins 5-0, it's likely to be profitable now and in the future. If it loses 5-0, it is best left alone. Thank you for watching and listening to this video. If you haven't already done so, why not subscribe to the Time2 Resources YouTube channel now?